Yes.
Easy going right there. Looking at it. One more to go.
I'm good. Just looking forward to go to this new track. It will be my first time in Miami, so looking forward to see what's coming up.
Absolutely, sir. I do apologise. I think my mic was on mute there for a little bit. So hello again, everyone. But yeah, thanks for tuning in once again. We're here once again at Miami, of course, the newest track on the Formula One calendar. Let's have a look at it in its glory. 19 corners, 5.410 kilometers of track. A little bit of a street circuit, if you like, around the Miami circuit. It goes across the SoFi Stadium, I think it is, for the NFL team for the Dolphins, if I am corrected. Probably not, but here's have a look at the calendar for you. Obviously, we were at Bahrain last time around, a dominant drive for Mr. Berezne last time out. So here at Miami, of course, on the 20th of November 2022, Chinese Grand Prix is up next week alongside Azerbaijan, Belgium and Canada the next 3 weeks. Then we have a little bit of a Christmas break for the final four: Silverstone, Italy, Australia and Abu Dhabi. 4 amazing circuits left to go on that calendar. Moving on into the format then, similar to last week, 3-stage knockouts, with Q1 being 18 minutes with 15 drivers progressing the top 15 there. Q2, 15-minute qualifying session with 10 drivers progressing to the top 10 shootout for pole, which is 12 minutes into qualifying 3. Where you finish there is where you start on the grid. Race format, 50% duration with 2 different tyre compounds are required, so you can't go soft, medium, hard, or for the time, which is probably going to slow you down as well. Dynamic weather, so it can have a chance to switch terrain at any given chance. Equal cars and damage, of course, is on. And then let's have a look at the results from last time out 2 weeks ago. Danny Berezne winning there from Chanakinchi in P2, 7 seconds winning there, with Ismail Fassi getting his first podium of the season by 2/10 to Ben Sabakonyi. What a duel that was on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Jan Haladesh in P5 there after just pipping Lenny Pipinter on the line after he got a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Istvan Pukki was 7th in that battle, 21 seconds behind Danny Berezne, with Lilian Debrev Court in 8th after that, just going up to Mr. Perez, who did get a penalty after the race for a collision somewhere around there. And then 10th place is Milan Meyer, was that getting the one lonely points for the Haas team. Into the driver's standings then, it is Danny Berezne, of course, on top, 25 points, leads to his 7-point advantage to Chanakinchi in P2. Ismail Fassi is third with Ben Sabakonyi 4th. Haladesh is 5th, Papinta 6th. Pukki is 7th. The Brevcourt is 8th with Perez in 9th and Milan Maya in 10th. Constructors' Championship is a similar affair with Alfa Romeo leading the way. Alpine are second with Mercedes third, 1 point behind the Alpine team. McLaren are 4th with Salvatore 5th. Aston Martin are 6th. Red Bull 7th. Haas F1 team are 8th. And then Ferrari 9th. Williams and 10th as well, both failing to score last time out. And I do believe we're about to get ready into qualifying, and already a few drivers just out on track already.
What did you call the stadium?
I think it was a SoFi Stadium, wasn't it? Oh, and my game has crashed, which is fantastic. That's always brilliant to see. 2 seconds, everyone. If, Joanna, you could just pull us away for a few radio comms.
And send you an invitation as well. If I can find you. Just trying to find you out. Are you in the game or just...
I am just loading up now, so hopefully I won't be a second. Apologies, everyone.
So, as I was saying, it's Hard Rock Stadium, as the huge symbol above the podium says. Not sure where Sophie Stadium is. Might have been an older name, don't know. But we have our first drivers coming in into the track with both Ferraris, but ahead of them, I think it will be Lilium, no, not Lilium, his teammate, Yannick Smith, one of our reserves for tonight, being the first on flying lap, if we might call it, considering that they're on the intermediate compound. Quite a few drivers on the intermediates, only Jerne Dosvan from McLaren and Sven Zerner for Ferrari are already on a slicks compound on soft tires, so hopefully you'll be able to show all our viewers the action on track really soon. Joshua, you there?
There we go. Sorry about that, my microphone was muted again. This is not going very, very well at all. But we are now back. Hopefully everything is all set and done. We're riding on board currently with Mr. Sven Zerner. Got 11th last time out at Bahrain. Really unfortunate race he had there in a lot of incidents there. Jeremy sets the top board there of a 31.5 on the intermediate compound tyres. Sven Zerner doesn't obliterate that time actually. A few mistakes on that lap. Only a 10th quicker on the soft compound tyres with that 1 minute 31.466. And has a little bit of a moment out of turn number 2 there. Unfortunate for him there, as pretty much everyone on the intermediate compound tyres. Jerne Dobson is on there, the new WR driver, I believe. Jan Haladesh puts it into the top stages on the intermediates, 31.241. Samuel Bean, I believe, might have invalidated his lap time there. Drux comes in to the P2 spots for the Williams man, the newest driver on the grid, of course. Rafael Salziak is his name in the Williams machine, taking over one of our drivers tonight in the reserves, and that actually is Jerne Dobson, who's actually had a little bit of a moment in the wall and has lost his tyre, so he is the first man out of qualifying.
What a shame for him, even worse when you consider that he didn't actually have an opportunity to put a time on the board. That will be a P1 qualifying one session finish for him, and he'll have a bit to wait until we go into the race and he can recover the positions that he might have just lost.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nadi Perez, we were just on board with there, having a massive moment on the intermediates as well, and almost actually hitting Yone Dawson. Thankfully, the ghosting did come into play very, very well there. To run on board through into Sector 2, 33.6 in the first sector. This is the main overtaking opportunities that can be done here. The Mercedes of Nadi Perez, actually in real life, the two Mercedes having a little bit of a tussle. George Russell and Lewis Hamilton this season have a bit of a tussle down here. I think it was George Russell who came out the victor out of that one. A little bit of traffic with Perez's lap time. That's one of the Alpha Tauris, not sure who. Getting a little bit in the way. It is the intermediate compound tyres, so I'm not sure if Nadi Perez will be not so down about it, so he'll be okay with that one as he makes his way towards the final couple of corners. 1:09 in Sector 2, and already I think a few more drivers coming out for their first soft runs, one of them being Yannick Schmidt in the Red Bull, changing to the Red Bull team tonight for the Williams colours he was in last time out. And changes for the Red Bull team, trying to get a few more points on the board there. Timo Zelenovic doing a very, very good job with him as well. Diego Morales, which is Cones, of course, racing from the Saudi Arabian Reserve Social Race. Did very, very well in that one. Tops the time and sheets for 30.7. Joanna, you know, a little bit more than about this driver than I do, so take it away.
Yeah, it's hard to... It's hard for you to speak because you don't know him, and it's hard for me because I've known him for quite a while. But it's an absolute pleasure to see what I believe will be the first time we have a Portuguese driver on ORL races. I'm very, very proud to have one of us here. Yeah, the race is the same. Let's see what he can bring. I know he's fast. For me, he's one of the two fastest. I don't really classify between them. The other is also a reserve here, but hasn't have yet an opportunity to race with us. For now we'll have Diogo, and seeing that name and that flag on the top, as you can imagine, is a huge moment for me as well. But we have most of our drivers already getting ready out on track with the softer compound. He's still on the intermediates, and this time should fall real soon.
Absolutely. So first man on the softs is Yannick Schmidt, 29.9 in the first sector for the Red Bull, carrying the DRS all the way up the straight of Sector 2, carrying it all the way through, trying to get as tight to the barriers as you can. Big braking zone into the left-hander, flick of the wrist on towards the right, the sort of Mickey Mouse chicane, if you like, there. Can get caught in a lot of traffic all the way through. As you can see there, the Ferrari just sort of getting in the way of Mr. Schmidt's lap there, but does seem to get away with it. 101.7 in sector number 2. We're going to see those times tumble right down once we get into the Nani Beresne lap times, the Milan Mayer lap times, the Samuel Bean lap times, the Shanna Kinchi lap times, all the way through there. As we can see, Yannick Schmidt then coming towards the final corner in that yellow and fluorescent diamond helmet, if you like, a little bit of a wobble out of the final braking zone corner and up towards the line, then staying tight to the right hand side, and a 26.861 is the first competitive lap time on the board. Not bad at all from Mr. Schmidt, and puts it on the top of the timing zones. Milan Mayer is the next on the soft compound of tyres. He makes his way towards the left and right section of sector 2 and into the delta time. Then big braking zone on the left, a hop on towards the right. You can carry the speed onto the curves if you would like to. You can get away with just a little bit of a kiss on the brakes and then letting the car flow onto the curves, onto the sausage curves. They don't hurt you too much in game. As you go towards the final couple of corners, black screens everywhere on the straight for whatever reason. And a big braking zone for the final corner for Milan Mayer in his nice carbon and red helmet. As he rides towards the final couple of corners then, Milan Mayer, his first competitive lap of the session, his first lap of the session, will be a 1:27.118, so can't quite beat Yannick Schmidt so far, a 1:27.1, and I reckon probably those two is probably going to be my guessing. We'll probably have to maybe go again.
At this time, even the drivers that will put a time now, it's still a big risk to not come out again, considering that the track evolution, especially in Q1, is huge. So absolutely, those two will have to go again, as will the rest of the grid. 19 drivers. Unfortunately, Jerne Dovzen is already out of this qualifying session, and I'm quite curious to see what our winner from last week, Danny Beresnay, will be able to put us. He's finishing his prep lap. In the meantime, we have Istvan Puki jumping to the top of the table by quite a small margin. But then again, that's what we came to expect of this group of drivers.
Absolutely. So Sampuki, top of the time sheets there by 11 thousandths of a second to Yannick Schmidt. Christoph Seller as well, just crossed the line, making his first appearance this season for the Alpine team. Puts into P6 now as Stefano Ramazio puts it into P4, 127.093 for him. Ben Sabakonyi into P3 as well with a 26.943. So only 3 drivers so far in the 26s, the high 26s. We'll see what Danny Beresnay is doing at the moment. There he is in 15th place so far, making his way into Sector 1 at 29.8 to start off Sector 1. We're right on board with the T-Camp with Mr. Beresnay, DRS wide open on the back of that Alfa Romeo as he comes towards the big braking zone on the left-hand corner. Big braking you enter just on the 50-meter board just before, a little bit wide of the apex, but does get away with it with that flowing right-hander, which can definitely catch you out, taking it wrong. Big braking zone, hop on the left, hop on the right. You can cut a little bit of that left-hander, just riding the curbs all the way through, past the left-hander and into the Delta, 101.4, so he's about 4/10, I think, quicker than Yannick Schmidt and Istvan Puki so far alone in that sector. Can he find anything in Sector 3 is the question. A final braking zone just on the 100 meters. Hop on the left, a little bit of a lock-up on that front left tyre. Does get away with it. Riding on towards the left. Can spin the car if you take it too much. On towards the right and across the line. Look at that, 26.553. And that is more like it. Mr. Danny Beresnay setting the time in sheets alive by about 0.3 of a second.
Let's see what the rest of the drivers can bring us. Still a few drivers on a hot lap. In the meantime, Diogo just invalidated his attempt in one of the most technical parts of this circuit. We didn't really get into detail in the beginning, but that sector of the track right before the main, the longer straight, is really difficult to get the best. In the sense that it's really easy to invalidate because you really have to cut the track and a bit of abuse the track limit.
Absolutely. So as we've just seen Lillian in the other Red Bull, full-time Red Bull now for him, and puts it into a 26.974. It's so tight everywhere you look. 4th, 5th and 6th, 1 minute 26.939, 943, 974. The top 3, 26.861 and an 850. And Danny Beresnay running away with it so far, 0.3 of a second to him by almost pretty much a dead 0.3 of a second. That's pretty much everyone done on their first couple of laps on the soft compound sides, with the slowest times being to Sven Zerner and Diego Moraes. Obviously still on their intermediate compound lap times, could not get a soft run in time, and Ismail Fassi has yet to set a lap time in as well, so he's going to leave it extremely late for this one. As you can probably imagine, Sven Zerner and obviously Diego Moraes really have to get a hurry on. And once again, we talked about this last time, Samuel Bean leaving it very late indeed. Had so much unluckiness at Bahrain, had that big crash out of the S's, was running really well in qualifying and up in the race, and then just losing it after making an overtake, just got caught on the curbs and smacked it straight in towards the wall. And he's been one who's been quite frequent in the bottom 5, about the bottom 5, who have just been really on the cusp right until the last second, then pulls it out the bag when necessary. But that's what you want from a driver. You want those drivers who can just get out of it right on the very death of the qualifying, and then that is where you can really set the timing sheets alive. One driver in question who is just trying to go a little bit quicker is Milan Mayer. He's just done a 27.119. He's going to try and go again. No, he's on an outlap actually just that time before, so he's going to try for one more attempt alongside Christoph Seller as well. He's just coming towards the final corner now. 2.2 in Sector 1 with Escher Mena. Yes, yeah, he is starting actually. My apologies. Madesha Mena retires from the session. Not sure if that was a crash or not, or has he retired in the pit lane? Either way, a little bit on the rough side in P12, and definitely taking a huge risk if he has retired in the pit lane. We'll stay on board though with Milan Meyer, who's currently coming up towards the Emirates banner on the left-hand side. Big braking zone as you enter into the left-hander. Flick on the wrist on the right. Yannick Schmidt retires from the session. He's probably going to be safe with that 26.861, which seemed enough to be enough in the time being. Hop on the left, hop on the right. Zetsu retires as well from P8. Running the risk, but probably going to be okay. Probably looking at low 27 is probably going to be enough. Jan Haladej retires as well from a 26.939. We're going to ride on board though with Milan Meyer, who's currently sitting on a 27.119. Riding towards the final corner comes the Haas man. Round in the final corner, rotates that Haas very, very nicely. Yellow flags in Sector 1. Probably someone just slowing down to get temperature into the tyres, and moves up into P8 with a 26.989, and that is definitely going to be quick enough, and only 3,000 slower than Shanna Kinchi in P7.
Let's see, we have quite a few drivers going for their final attempt of this first qualifying session. So quite a few drivers retiring already. Let's see if none of them made a mistake with that assumption. In the meantime, Danny hasn't retired, but he's not out of the pit, so he will not be putting up any time, as well as Istvan Puki. They both consider they're safe. Just staying in the box while Christoph Zella decided to come into the track and try to improve his time and see how close to Danny Beres next time he can get.
Absolutely. Sven Zerner was on a quick lap, but he's just been intervened by a little bit of traffic coming down the straight. I'm not sure if he's going to try and keep the lap going or if he's going to try and go again. He's running the final couple of corners now. It might not be enough. Yes, it is actually a very good lap time, if I do say so myself, with a P3. Really putting it out the bag from last time at Bahrain, and jumps into the top three, 26.809. That's a beautiful lap time from Mr. Zerner there, really hitting the jobs going there. Ismail Fassi, however, really has to try and get a hammer down on his lap. He's currently 19th. And pretty much prime last with Janne Dobson's early crash earlier on. And he is definitely out of qualifying. So Ismail Fassi, Samuel Bean, Nadi Perez and Jeremy are all in that bottom 16 so far. With only 10 seconds left to go, it's getting towards the crunch time in Q1. Here comes Ismail Fassi. We're right on board with the Mercedes right now, hopping towards the left and a hop towards the right, in towards that flowing right-hander. And the checker flag now being raised. Danny Beresne, Istvan Puki, Ben Sabakonyi, Shanna Kinchi and Milan Meyer will not get another go. They're probably all going to be safe. Nevertheless, Ismail Fassi still going towards me. I believe we have lost Joanna, unfortunately. Hopefully she can try and get back as quickly as possible. Ismail Fassi coming towards the final couple of corners now. Big braking zone as you enter into the final corner. He needs something big here. He needs something quicker than a 27.433 as someone else has just hit under the lights. I'm not sure quite who just yet, and it is going to be enough for Ismail Fassi though into the P8. 26.964 was enough. Jeremy, however, is out of qualifying. He goes 16th and plumb last. Samuel Bean also is out of qualifying. He goes only 19th, and Drax, I believe, is slowing down, not using any of the DRS, and he is out of qualifying as well. So it's Jeremy in the AlphaTauri, the two AlphaTauris of Jeremy, Modestro Mena, Drax, Samuel Bean, and Yone Dobson, who will be making it out of qualifying. And Danny Beresne topping the timing sheets with Christoph Sella in P2, Stefano Ramazio in P3, and the Ferraris looking mighty hot today with P4 to Sven Zone as well. Istvan Puki, Yannick Schmidt, Jan Haladej, Ben Sabakonyi, Ismail Fassi, and Lillian is your top 10. And that was a very, very good end to qualifying right there.
Yeah, I wish I could agree with you, but I actually missed the last part of the qualifying. It's like it's not only you who the game crashes for, but hopefully it will all be just fine for the second qualifying session.
Yep, hopefully so. Just waiting for Drox to come back into the pit lane and we will show the results to you. There we go. There it is on your board there. Qualifying 1 is done. Danny Berezne getting the job done by a 10th of a second, and Christoph Sella coming back in style there, getting a 10th on Danny Berezne. That should be very, very tight going into this one. Stefano Ramazio really putting his game up as well in P3. Sven Zerner in P4. Istvan Pukki is 5th with Yannick Schmidt in P6. Jan Haladej is 7th with Ben Samakonyi in 8th. Ismail Fassi is 9th with Lillian in P10. Chanakinchi stepping a little bit back, a little bit of a back step from Bahrain in P11 with Melan Meyer in 12th. Nani Perez 13th, Jakub Rozetsu in 14th, and Diego Morales just getting out of qualifying there. You just needed that low 27s as we were talking about with Jeremy, Melestra Mena, Drax, Samuel Bean, and Yoni Dobson, who crashed out earlier on, are out of qualifying. So we move on to qualifying 2 in a few moments' time. But yeah, that was really, really exciting near the end, Joanna.
There's nothing more Portuguese than getting the last possible place that you need. But yeah, it's quite a popular trait of us. But interesting to see. Unfortunately, one of the drivers that retired early, I think, dropped out in the first qualifying session, correct? One of the AlphaTauris?
I think it was both AlphaTauris, actually.
But one of them retired earlier.
Yeah, I think that was...
Modesto.
Yeah, it was Modestra Mena retiring early, so a big miscalculation there from the AlphaTauri machine. And I think they'll probably be having a little bit of a talk of that to see what happens with that one. Moving on, though, into Q2 straight away. As we can see there, a lot of drivers already getting out there. First person on track, though, Sven Zerner in the Ferrari, making his way towards the right-hander and already eager to get going there. Everyone on the soft compound tyres, apart from Ismail Fassi, who's loaded up the medium compound tyres, so maybe saving a little bit of, saving a set of softs right until the end, right when he needs it, which is probably the most tactical thing to do.
Yeah, if you can just go on for a bit, I'm just trying to see if this game can collaborate with me or not today.
Oh, yep, no problem. Yeah, Joanna having a few issues on the F1 game, which is obviously a big talking point as well as usual for a lot of us using the game, which is always fantastic. But yeah, let's cover a lap with Sven Zerner once he gets towards the line there, making his way towards the Mickey Mouse chicane as he makes his way hop on the left and hop towards the right, hitting the cone as he goes there. We don't need that cone anymore. Sven Zerner making his way towards the back straights onto the DRS zone, followed closely by the Williams just behind him. I believe that is Jakub Rozetsu, a Haas F1 Esports development driver, of course, making his return to the league, of course. And obviously changing the colours from white to blue this time around. We're on board just back towards Sven Zerner. Let's take a lap of the Miami circuit with the German driver in the Ferrari tonight. Here we go then, in towards turn 1, big braking zone as you enter into turn 1, down to 4th gear, hop on the right, and you can definitely use the curb on the left hand side just a little bit, and a little bit more on the right as well, guiding the car to the left hand side wall and then tucking it right back in to the right hand side. A flick down on the gears, down into 6th for the left and down into 5th on the right, straight back up to 6th for the traction, in towards the spoon corner, if you like, running the curbs in the middle of the circuit on the right and onto the exit as well. The first DRS zone is coming up straight towards you, a 30.2 in sector 1 for Sven Zerner as he makes his way towards the back straight, under the DHL sign and under the Emirates sign just in front of you, into a big braking zone on the left-hander, 50 metres you just want to be turning into on the left-hander, into 3rd gear, straight up back to 4th for the traction, back down to 3rd, back up to 4th again, in towards the Mickey Mouse chicane of the left, on towards the right, hitting them left and right all the way down into the penultimate corner on the left and on towards the sector 2 delta of a 102.130 for Sven Zerner. This is looking good so far from him, just into the low 2s and into the high 1s is where you want to be aiming into sector 2 if you want to have a good lap there. Big braking zone onto the 100 metre for the final braking turn, into the left, 3rd gear action, up into 4th for the traction, in towards the line there, straight flat out, on towards the curves, darting towards the line, less than 27.288 for Sven Zerner as Jakob Zetsu comes towards the line now, and no, it was Danny Beresne actually going towards the line and does beat Sven Zerner, but only just to a 27.243, so the times just getting a little bit slower as the day just starts to work around with Lillian into P3 with 27.347, Jan Halliday with 27.557. It's very, very tight, and I'll tell you what, the Ferrari engine's really looking good today, and as we've just said there, Ismail Fassi actually, I take that back, and I'll say his engine's working well as Ismail Fassi has topped the timing sheets with a 27.171 on the medium compounded tyres, but so far, Danny Beresne in P2, Christoph Seller jumps up into P3 with only about 300ths of a second on Danny Beresne, alongside Sven Zerner, who's only a 100th off Christoph Seller as well, so it's all so tight in the first opening runs of Q2.
And I'm finally back into the game, just in time to see Ismail jumping up to provisionary pool, although this is still Q2. So quite curious to see that some drivers are still waiting in the pits, I think they'll still try to go for 2 attempts, but leaving it to a bit later while Nardi Perez losing it a bit. Then again, under the bridges, as I mentioned previously, it's really tricky, that part of the circuit, and he unfortunately invalidates his first attempt of this session.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. Diogo Morales is just prepping his first lap in Q2. First Portuguese driver in ORL history, making his debut tonight in the league, and a very proud moment, as Joanna has said for herself.
I'm going to be mean, but you can't call him Portuguese and then call him Morales. It's Moraes.
Moraes. Okay, there we go.
Oh, well,
Moraes. Moraes, there we go. In P13 so far,
Portuguese
just starting.
lessons live on ORL.
Absolutely. Who needs these apps that you can pay £10 million for? We need just Joanna in the commentary box for us there. But here we go then. First lap on the ball for Moraes in P13 so far in Q2 on the soft compounder tyres, making his way through the fast left and the fast right of Sector 1. Lovely few corners if that track there. Once you get it right, it is very, very rewarding. In towards the long left hand and onto the back straight then, 30.5 to start yourself off for Moraes. Into the pits, onto the back straight he goes. Everyone else pretty much in the pits apart from Milamea, his teammate, Isvan Puki, Ramazio, Akinci and Yannick Schmidt as well. Also Ben Sabakoni out on track, all on outlap so far. As we enter the Mickey Mouse chicane with the Haas man braking very, very late into the left. Hop on the left and a hop on towards the right. Hopefully did keep that clean as he makes his way towards the final couple of corners. A little bit of a bang on the wall just on the right, just trying to get the power down as early as possible. Did not quite catch his Sector 2 split there, but hopefully it was a good one. It's looking pretty decent so far for the Portuguese man as he makes his way towards the final couple of corners into the final break. He's done a little bit wide, carries the speed on the outside though, and on towards the back straight. A little bit of a wobble there, once again going very, very wide, and a little bit of a scruffy lap in the third sector, and 3/10 down on Jan Halliday to a 27.9, and probably a few scratches up in Sector 3, and that is a pretty decent time there will be for Mr. Moraes.
Well, I caught him almost losing the rear like 5 times. So hopefully, if he manages to put it all together, it will be a very decent lap. Who is also on the lap is his teammate Milan Mayer, still to put a lap in this session, as is Istvan Puki, Stefano Ramazio, Cena Kinci, Jacob. I can never say the last name of the second Williams. I'm really sorry, Jacob. And then Jenny, but he's on outlap, so fair enough. Nardi Perez also on outlap, and then we have Yannick Schmidt and Benji Zaboconi on fast laps as well. So quite a bit of traffic on the track right now. Let's see. For now, most of them seems to be keeping it clear. And when I say this, Yannick Schmidt jumps to P1 with a 1:26.590, beaten by 1,000 of a second by Istvan Puki on the Aston Martin.
And that is defining close there, 1,000th of a second between the Aston Martin of Istvan Pukki and the Red Bull of Yannick Schmidt there. 5.89 plays a 5.90, both in the 26s, and that is, I believe, the fastest time we've seen so far in qualifying. Goes to Istvan Pukki and Yannick Schmidt, who's really put the power down from last time out and definitely hunting it back down here in Miami. Danny Berezny shoots up as his teammate actually of Ben Sabakonyi jumping into P5 with a 26.826. Milan Mayer with a 26.791. Chana Kinchi with a 26.623. Stefano Ranazio, as we've just said, a 27.056 for him. Ismail Fassi, a 27.171. We're currently riding on board with Danny Berezny, currently P8 and currently on a 27.243 as he makes his way towards the final corner now. What's it going to be like for the Hungarian man, the Alfa Romeo esports driver, coming towards the line then up towards the back straight, and can he get himself into those low 26s across the line? It's looking good, and it's looking very, very good for Berezny, a 26.227, and that will do nicely and gives him about a 3/10 of a lap cushion. But here comes Christoph Zeller, who's gone absolutely quicker, about 7/10 quicker of an improvement, just slots into P2 and can't quite match Danny Berezny. 3/10 again is the gap, so Danny Berezny 3/10 quicker than anyone else on the track so far in the top lines. Here comes Lillian, who's also done a 101.9, a very good lap, but only good enough for P11. He will have to go again. Nardi Perez is riding towards the line now. He comes into the pit lane and is not going to complete that lap. Don't think it was good enough for him. So far, out of the first couple of runs, first two-ish runs in qualifying, it's Nardi Perez, Diogo Moraes, Jan Haladej, Ismail Fassi, and Lillian in that bottom 11 so far. And Stefano Ramazio just getting out there by about 11 thousandths of a second. And so far, if that stays the way it is, Lillian will definitely be kicking himself after that one.
Oh, he's shown us that he can do better than this, so not sure if I think he'll still have time, but it will be just enough for an attempt. No time to lose. Right now for the Red Bull driver. Well, we have the calm before the storm, isn't it? Well, we have most of our drivers in the pit lanes getting prepped up for their last attempt, and I'm sure Danny Berezny and Christoph Zeller and Lillian will join them as well in the next minute.
Absolutely so, as you said, definitely the calm before the storm. About just over 4 minutes left to go, just under actually 4 minutes to go left in the session. I think everyone will definitely get a lap in. We'll have a look where Lillian is on the track so far. He's actually coming into the pit lane now, so he will definitely get another run in there. Jan Haladej has decided to go out early, and fairly early compared to the rest of them. I think we saw him do this last time out at Bahrain, and someone went extremely early in qualifying 2 or qualifying 3. I think it was Jan Haladej to my memory. So he's definitely a fan of going out early. Currently 4/10 slower than Ismail Fassi in P12. Got a podium last time out for Mercedes, and they're really on the back foot so far. Christoph Zeller retires in the pit lane. He's pretty much safe with that 26.5, currently P2. Danny Berezny is definitely safe on a 26.2 if he's 3/10 quicker than the top 4 so far. So we'll stay on board with Jan Haladej so far, currently on an outlap, making his way towards the final corner. Ismail Fassi has just come out of the pit lanes as well, alongside Sven Zerner just behind him in the Ferrari. So we'll ride on board with Jan Haladej of a lap of Miami in the McLaren as he tries to make his way out of qualifying 2 and into qualifying 3. Across the line he comes and into turn 1, then a big braking zone as you enter into the right-hander, staying tight towards the wall as you flick it into the wall to the right and a flick on towards the left. You almost go two-wheeler onto the curves as you really have to try and attack them as best as you can, and in towards the flick of the wrist for the left and a flick on towards the right. Istvan Pukki retires as well from P3. He's pretty much safe with that one as well, riding really, really long, almost coming onto the AstroTurf on the right-hand side. A little bit of a wobble there, but it's good enough for a 26.8 lap time and a 5/10 of a lap improvement. Right now will get him out of qualifying by 1,000th of a second. That is absolutely insane. In towards the big braking zone on the left-hander once again into sector 2. Needs something big in these final 2 sectors if he wants to try and see himself through into Q3. P3 around about P7, P6, I'm going to assume is going to be enough. So a 26.7 is what he's going to be aiming for. Flick onto the final corner and a load of acceleration out. There you go, 8 tenths of a second, a 101.5, and a beautiful sector 2 for Jan Haladej to get himself going on the board, almost a second up on his time, which would be a 27.5, which right now will put him round about P5, maybe challenging for P4 with Yannick Schmidt. Into the final corner comes Jan Haladej. What's it going to be like out of the turn? Big braking zone as you enter into the final couple of corners, across the line, and it's P3 with about a second improvement, and that is definitely enough for a slot into Q3. Beats Istvan Pukki by only about 300ths of a second exactly, with a P3 lap time of 26.559 with 1 minute to go.
Quite a few drivers starting their laps. Let's see how close to Jan they can get if they all, by some miracle, manage to get a 126.5. We already have 4 drivers in that tenth of a second, so it will be interesting to get a few more closer. Let's see what we manage to get from our drivers.
Absolutely. So we're currently riding on board with Sven Zerner. He's gone quicker. He's done his personal best in the sector 2. Yellow flags just ahead. That's one of the Mercedes prepping their lap times. I wonder if that's Nardi Perez in P15 yet to get a lap time on the board in the Mercedes as he rounds the final corner. Sven Zerner, a little bit of a wobble on exit, but gets the power down nice and early across the line. Needs a 26.7 to beat and goes even quicker to a 26.559, the same lap time as Jan Haladej. Interesting that he is P3 and not P4, as usually the way it works is the person who set the time first gets the position, but Sven Zerner up into P3 nevertheless. Checker flag is out. Danny Beresne is top of the timing sheets with P1. Ismail Fassi gets himself out of qualifying with P3 and 26.514 for him. A nice lap there from the Mercedes man. Ben Sabakonyi, only 8th fastest. That is very, very dangerous for the Alfa Romeo. Shanna Kinchi, only 9th fastest for Alpine. Very, very dangerous indeed. Milan Mayer up to P4 for Haas, 26.521. Everyone getting into the 26.5. So Shanna Kinchi is in real danger of getting eliminated in this session. Who is next across the line? It's going to be Mr. Morais in P14, 5 tenths down on his lap so far, unless he might have abandoned this one. Who was that across the line? I think it was someone else. That's Yannick Schmidt up into P2 at 26.3. Diogo Morais comes into the pit lane. He is out of qualifying. Ramazio comes into the lap times as well. Across the line for him, P12. He is out of qualifying. Jakub Rosetsu is next across the line as well. We'll have a look where Lillian is. Also, he's just gone a little bit quicker, up to P8. That knocks Shanna Kinchi out of qualifying. All eyes on Rosetsu now. Can he knock out Ben Sabakonyi in P10? He needs a 126.614. He's going to do a 26.565, and that knocks out Ben Sabakonyi and remains only one Alfa Romeo in the top 10, with Danny Beresne sitting comfy on the top, with Jakub Rosetsu in a P8 gets through and knocks out Ben Sabakonyi, Shanna Kinchi, Ramazio, Morais, and Nardi Perez could not get a lap time in time, and that is a big knockout, and a lot of the top drivers who definitely performed well in Q1 out of Q2.
Well, I had mentioned that we had 4 drivers in the same tent. Now it was 8 at the end of the second. So really, really close between most of our drivers. And it seems that I guess the 126.5 as the aim, since BenQ was the first out of the 5 and getting out of the 3rd qualifying session.
Yeah, as you said, 8 drivers within the same 10th there, 3rd down to 10th. That is absolutely incredible there. 3 thousandths between Lillian and Istvan Pukki there. We were talking about the gap between those two, and they've definitely done the job there. And Lillian come out the better there, but the big shock there, Ben Sabakonyi out of qualifying. Shanna Kinchi out of qualifying, was P2 last time out. Ramazio, who definitely performed very, very well through Q1 and definitely in Bahrain, out of qualifying as well. But Yannick Schmidt, who didn't do so well at Bahrain, within about 2 tenths within Danny Beresne, which is very, very impressive again for the Red Bull man. So looking to try and improve and definitely try and knock Danny Beresne a little bit down the order in P1. 1. We're going to move on to Q3 right now. Clear blue skies as it was in Q2. And the straight fight out for pole will begin very, very shortly. We're going to see who will bite the bullet first, if you will, in this session, as we have a look to see who will go out first. All quiet in the pit lane so far as they make their way for the calm before the storm. That's one person going out. Is that one of the Alpines? No, it's Aston Martin of Istvan Pukki, the only Aston Martin left in the session so far. We have one Mercedes, one one Aston Martin, one Alfa Romeo, one Haas, the one Alpine as well, one McLaren. I think we only have one of one drivers.
Red Bull.
And Red Bull with Lillian and Yannick Schmidt, the only pairing getting through into Q3. So Red Bull seem to have got it right. The others, not so much.
Unfortunately, this means that one of the teams did not get either driver into the third qualifying session. Just trying to figure out really quick who. But I think it was the AlphaTauris in the first session. So only AlphaTauri not into qualifying session number 3. While we'll have the, I believe, Hungarian Istvan Pukki being the first to get us a sample of action in this qualifying session.
Absolutely so, knocking the current down once again as Istvan Pukki as he makes his way towards the line. Milan Mayer and Sven Zerner joining him out of the box. The only 3 drivers out of the garages so far. Everyone just keeping a stern eye on proceeding to see how these top 3 do. And will we see the 25s, if I do say so myself. We've seen the 26s. We've seen the low 26s from Danny Bresnay, a 26.2 he did last time out. Could we maybe see a 25.9? We're right on boards with Istvan Pukki to see what he can do on his first attempt in Q3. Big braking zone as he went into turn 1 and hop onto turn 2 for the left-hander and into turn 3. A much widening, nicer turn in on the third one. Into turn 4, fully flat out, if you like, and into turn 5. The flick on the right and another flick on the left as well for turn 6, 7, and 8. Number 9, a fast swooping right-hander, a little bit similar to Spoon in Japan, if you like, as you enter on towards the curves for turn 10. 29.6 in sector 1 for Istvan Pukki. That is a very, very strong sector 1 there as we see him coming towards the line.
But it's the end of his lap. Unfortunately, he invalidated at the exit of the first sector, so probably not sure if he's going to put a reference time or just go straight into the box.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Istvan Pukki. Another invalidation for him. Definitely mad about that one, as we can see. What was his sector 2 time anyway? A 101.2. Such a strong lap if he kept it clean. We'll see if he does decide to set a lap time anyway just for the delta, or if he will peel in towards the pit lane. Sven Zerner and Milan Mayer also join him towards the line there. We're right on board still with this Istvan Pukki. See if he comes in towards the pit lane. Yes, he does. We'll have a look at Sven Zerner as well. Milan Mayer just behind him. We'll stick on board with Sven Zerner then, a 29.9 in sector 1. Not as good as Istvan Pukki's, about 3/10 I think it was down in his lap time. We'll see what it's like in sector 2 then. Big braking zone as you hit onto the left and a hit on towards the right. Hopefully has kept that clean. The sparks flying everywhere. Across the line then, a 101.806. Not bad. But Istvan Pukki did go quicker. We can see there Sven Zerner making his way towards the final couple of corners. Everyone out of track, apart from Istvan Pukki, we've just seen peel into the pit lane from an invalidation. Round the final corner comes Zerner as he comes towards the line there, very, very close towards the barrier. Yellow flags just up ahead. Will keep it clean across the line at 26.879. Not bad. We have seen quicker from him though. Christoph Zeller as well across the line, just starting his first lap as well. Milan Mayer, I believe, invalidated also on that one. Lillian just starting his one. Yannick Schmidt about to cross the line, a 101.3 in sector 2. A blistering lap time for the number 66, I believe, and it is a very good lap time, a 26.410. Very, very calm indeed. About 2/10 slower than Danny Bresnay so far, but he can definitely play the business there for him. Jan Haladej also making his way towards the line. Lillian also hopping towards the Mickey Mouse section. Jakub Rosetsu just making his way through sector 1. And also Christoph Zeller making his way through Sector 2 as well. We'll stick on over with Lillian as he makes his way towards the line of 101.399. A very good Sector 2 as well from the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls are seeming to spark the lights around this Miami circuit right at the start of Q3. Looking good so far for both Yannick Schmidt and Lillian there as he rounds the final couple of corners then into the left-hander and on towards the back straight then. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26.523. A couple of tenths slower, just a tenth slower than his teammate, but it's a definitely good showing for the Red Bulls anyway. The front row secured so far. Only 3 drivers have crossed it so far. Christoph Zeller joins him. Only exam validated actually and stays P4. Danny Berezny just behind him making his way through there. Jan Haladej goes into P3 with a 26.693. The Red Bulls have about a tenth advantage over anyone so far. We'll have a look at Danny Berezny. He's done a 101.310, pretty much matching Yannick Schmidt a little bit quicker, as we can see there on the Alfa Romeo. Where can he find the time? In Sector 3, Jakub Brzeziu splits the Red Bulls with a 26.462 in the Williams machine. 5 minutes left to go in the session. We run on board with the Alfa Romeo of Danny Berezny. What can he do in the final couple of sectors? We run on board with him right now, across the line, and it's pole position for Berezny. A 26.386. Yannick Schmidt is close, but not close enough. We break into the 26.3s with Danny Berezny, and that is a decent lap altogether. 24 thousandths, a quarter of a tenth of a second slower is Yannick Schmidt there. So close on his first attempt. We'll have a look who else is going out as well. Isfan Pukki, I believe, is coming towards the final couple of corners as well as Ismail Fassi invalidated on his lap. We'll see what Isfan Pukki can do. Is lightning in Sector 1. He's lightning again, and I believe has just gone a little bit slower than Danny Berezny. Very tight indeed though, matching Yannick Schmidt definitely as he makes his way towards the final couple of corners. Can he go any quicker than the Red Bulls and really show the challenge to Danny Berezny? Rounding the final corner comes the Aston Martin, very clean into the final corner, rounding the corner now, across the line, and goes pole position by about 0.2 of a second. Isfan Pukki has set the times alive once again in Q3, and on his second attempt, it's pole position for the Aston Martin at 26.199. We break into the ones. Is Isfan Pukki on pole position as the first Hungarian puts up the pole position there, and it's a Hungarian 1-2 so far in Miami.
I'm sure we were not expecting to see Berezny 2/10 of the first time, but let's see if he's able to answer to Pukki's time, or if he will be happy to start from the second place. Considering there are quite a few long straights here, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would put him in a position that he could be attacked from. Well, at this moment it would be Yannick Schmidt in P3 down into the first corner, but that will be later in the race. So far we're still with 3 minutes to go in our third qualifying session, and we have only starting to prep for his probably final attempt.
Yeah, Sven Zerner out on track right now, carrying towards the final corner. Isfan Pukki, as we've just said, setting the times alive. I'm sure he's more than pleased with that lap time. We'll see what Sven Zerner can do on his final attempt in Q3. The only man out on track, everyone else in the pit lane, as you said earlier, Joanna, the calm before the storm, as you'd like to say in Q2 there. But we move on to Q3 then. 2 minutes and 56 seconds left to go in the session. A flick on the right and a flick on the left for Sven Zerner as he makes his way through Sector 1. What's it going to be like in his Delta time? Riding towards the curves and across the line there. 29.7, 0.2 of an improvement so far. If we'll get him level onto the 26.6s with Jan Haladej so far, a little bit quicker than him. Currently in P6 if he keeps his lap time going. The number 2 man coming towards the line right now, into the left of the Mickey Mouse section, on towards the right, the winding right-hand corner. Stay tight towards it, and you can lose traction at any moment. Hop on the left and hop on towards the right as you enter in towards the curves. Nicely taken once again from Sven Zerner across the 2-dection zone. 101.394, 4/10 of an improvement right now, which puts him to 26.4, matching Jakub Rzetsu there as he makes his way towards the final couple of corners of Ferraris. We're very, very quick in Q1. Ramazio getting knocked out in Q2, an unfortunate scene there. What can Sven Zerner do is the question as he rides towards the final couple of corners. Can he make himself up in towards the top 4 or the top 3? He puts it on the front row and dethrones Dani Berezne. That is a very, very good lap in the sector 3 there for Sven Zerner, and on his final attempt he gets in towards the front row, but still about a 10th and a half slower than Istvan Pukki there. But what a very, very good lap it was for Sven Zerner there.
Fantastic job by the Ferrari driver. Let's see. I think he might lose a few positions because he puts his lap so early on, but let's see if he manages to get a decent position at the end of the qualifying session. Well, we
Absolutely.
have Christoph Selles going for their final attempt. Dani Berezne follows ahead of him already in his final attempt as well.
Absolutely so. What is the reply from Dani Berezne? As we can see there in his mirrors is just Christoph Seller just up the road, well, just behind him in the moment in time. But we'll stay on board. What can he do in Sector 1? He's 2/10 up in Sector 1 alone. That will give him a 26.1. He's definitely going to beat Istvan Pukki if he keeps it up like this. We could see the 25s come into effect for Dani Berezne so far. Istvan Pukki is out there as well. Christoph Zeller is out there. Hasn't set a lap time just yet. Sven Zerner will not be able to go again. He's just finished his final lap. Yannick Schmid is still out there. Jakub Rzetsu is out there. Any of these guys can get pole position very, very late on. Dani Berezne round in the final couple of corners now. What's it going to be in Sector 2? It's going to be a 101.9. A little bit down than his Sector 1 time, but it's still very, very good indeed. 2/10 up so far alone, which will be a 26.186, which is going to be enough for pole position at the moment. Sven Zerner retires from the session in the pit lanes as he makes his way towards the final couple of corners. Comes Dani Berezne, the Hungarian maestro. What can he do in that Alfa Romeo? Rounds the final corner. Can we see the 25s? No, we can't. We can see a 26.155 from Dani Berezne, and is currently on pole position for the Miami Grand Prix. Christoph Zeller just behind him on a 101.4, a little bit slower than usual. Miller Mayer puts it into P6. Christoph Zeller can go only 9th fastest. He invalidated his time. Jan Haladej next across the line, coming towards the final corner. The McLaren, what can he do? He's been quick all day as well as he makes his way towards the final corner. A 26.693 on his first attempt. What can he do on his second one? A little bit of a moment there and a big spin. Jan Haladej bins it in his final attempts. We run on board with Istvan Pukki. What can he do? Can he match Dani Berezne across the line? He's a little bit slower and cannot beat Dani Berezne so far. Ismail Fassi goes P2 and on the front row for Mercedes for the first time this season. Yannick Schmidt currently in P5. What can he do as he makes his way towards the final corner? The Red Bull rubbing on towards the walls, trying to extract any sort of lap time. He can go there. Yannick Schmidt across the line, only good enough for P4. Jakub Rzetsu, best only for P6. Lillian comes in the pit lane for Red Bull, and once again, it's Dani Berezne on the front row and into pole position once again by 16 thousandths of a second, and the top 4 separated by less than a 10th of a second. Ismail Fassi in P2, Istvan Pukki in P3, and Yannick Schmidt in P4 with Sven Zerner in P5. What an end to qualifying that was, and it's that man again, Dani Berezne, 2 for 2 in qualifying, and he is on pole position for the Miami Grand Prix.
Impressive stuff from the Mercedes. He had a very decent race last week and seems to want to keep up with the good results tonight, so starting from the front row.
Absolutely so. There is your results there on screen. Dani Berezne on pole position. Ismail Fassi in P2. Istvan Pukki is third for Aston Martin with Yannick Schmidt in P4. Sven Zerner is 5th with Jakub Rzetsu in 6th. Milan Meyer is 7th. Lillian is 8th. Jan Haladej is P9, and Christoph Zeller could not get a lap time on the board. Definitely one to look out for, though, in this race. We know his pace. We've seen it, obviously, in challenges in F1 Esports. Got that win at Imola. A similar layout is Miami, with those close corners and close high up curbs, bankings, but we can see what it plays out like. What an end to qualifying. That is definitely the qualifying session of the season so far, and at Miami is definitely one you have to look out for. But absolutely an incredible way to end it there as we move on towards the race. Clear blue skies in front of us at Miami as usual as we make your way through the director's board. No, we won't, because it's being a little bit awkward so far. We'll see if we can load it up again. There we go for you. Here is the grid for you then for the Miami Grand Prix. It's Danny Beresnay on pole position with Ismail Fassi in P2. Istvan Pukki in P3 with Yannick Schmidt 4th. Sven Zerner lines up in P5 with Jekka Rosetsu in P6. Milan Mayer is 7th for Haas with Lillian in P8. Jan Halledej is P9 with Christoph Zeller in P10. Did not get a lap time on board for Alpine. Dan Beresnay's teammate with Ben Sabakonyi is 11th. Couldn't get out of qualifying. Neither could Chanik Inchi in P12. Was P2 last time out. Stefano Ramazio was looking promising in Q1. Just couldn't get it together in Q2. Lines up P13 with Diogo Moraes in P14. The debutant for Portugal in Haas is P14 on the medium compound tyres. Nardi Perez was the slowest of them all in Q2 in P15. In 16th is Jeremy, the quickest out of the qualifying ones out in qualifying. With Esther Mena, the other Haas, AlphaTauri in P17 with Drux in 18th, Samuel Bean in 19th. And last on the grid is Jerne Dobson, who crashed earlier on in the McLaren. We're about to get underway for the Miami Grand Prix in 5 seconds time, and we will see who will come out victorious as we get under the lights of the circuit right now. Here we go then. The first light, second lights, third light, fourth light, 5 red lights on at Miami. They go out and we're racing alongside in Miami. Danny Beresnay gets a fairly decent start. Ismail Fassi gets away well, but it is Danny Beresnay who leads into turn one. A little bit of jostling with Yannick Schmidt getting a good start off the lights. Sven Zerner getting a better one and up into P4. Yannick Schmidt has to settle for P5. Lillian getting a good start up into P7. Jan Halledej up in towards 8th with Drux getting in the mix in P18 as well. They're all battling all the way through. Samuel Bean up into 18 now, but Danny Beresnay getting the job done. 5/10 clear of Ismail Fassi so far, as Istvan Pukki maybe having a look for trying to charge on the Mercedes. You can see him in the background. They've all got a clear and very clean start so far. Is Chanik Inchi as well having a look on the Haas of Milan Mayer, who's had a great start to this Grand Prix, already up one position. Ben Sabakonyi not getting off to a great one, having a look down the inside. Goes Chanik Inchi, not going to work, and says hello, says Ben Sabakonyi. Round the outside he goes, forcing the Alpine off. Thank you very much. Up into P11. It's not done yet though for the Alfa Romeo. Around the outside, Chanik Inchi says no you don't, son. Up into P11 he goes, but it's Danny Beresnay leading the way. Ismail Fassi yellow flags. That's Samuel Bean having a collision, and it's Moraes who's had a spit in there out of the Mickey Mouse section. So unfortunate. The Portuguese man dead last now in a spin, 3.5 cents back, as Nardi Perez has had a little bit of an issue as well, but an all clean start so far, and it sees Danny Beresnay lead by about 0.3 of a second.
Well, not that clean when Jeremy unfortunately had a bit of a contact on Joe and made him go into a spin in the bridges section, but so the rest going quite well. We had a bit of a 3-wide with Bence and Modesto side by side on the back straight, but so far positions not changing. Most of our drivers already in the harder compound on the Modesto Mena going for the medium compound and grabbing a few positions thanks to that in this beginning of the race.
Absolutely so, and Modesto Mena having a great Grand Prix so far off the start, and a big incident. Yes.
Hitting the wall and then getting the McLaren into that. A bit unfortunate for both of them at the moment.
Absolutely so. Don't know if I can see any visible damage on the Ferrari. He's going to have a look down the inside, and yes, there is actually damage on that front right end plate of the Ferrari. So unfortunate for him. We can see there nothing on Yone Dobson's car. Nardi Perez having a terrible start as well, as we can see there Manestra Mena having a lightning start on those medium compound tyres. But we look over to the front and look at this train starting to form first down the way up into P13 really, as Jan Haliday having a look on I believe that's the Jakob Rosetsu in P8 there, and it says thank you very much up into P7. Nice and easy for Jan Haliday. He's all kept it very, very clean so far. Danny Beresne sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix at 1 minute 30.728. Everyone in the hard compound tyres, as you said, apart from Manestra Mena on the mediums, as the DRS now open this lap. And I'll tell you who that can definitely benefit is Ismail Fassi, currently riding in P2 so far, and looking tasty on Danny Beresne, who's been able to try and stay with him for this race so far. These first opening 3 laps, had a look at him in P2 around the outside, but just couldn't get the job done. 5/10 clear now, but what can Ismail Fassi do? He can claw that back up using the DRS. A beautiful helicopter shot we've just seen there. No DRS available this time around, but there we go then. Ismail Fassi using it up and down, up and down. You can see the rear end plate just flapping up and down. That indicates whether he's using the DRS or not. Decided not to this time around, so he's still happy just to wait a little bit longer and just stay in that little train, trying to stay with Danny Beresne as long as he can. Into the left, in towards the right. Samuel Bean having a 3-second time penalty. I think that was for corner cutting earlier on. He's got another chance though as Ismail Fassi to use the DRS if he so pleads. Into the back straight there, DRS wide open for Ismail Fassi. Does he want to use any of it? No, he doesn't. He's going to happily stay in the straight line speed and having a look there. No, he can't. 10th back, and once again Danny Beresne staying there, but battle for P8, P9 between Jakob Rosetsu and Christoph Seller. Trying to go around the outside goes Rosetsu side by side. Brilliant battling between the two, the Hungarian versus the Polish man, and it's gone to the Hungarian man there, Christoph Seller, getting the job done up into P8, and another man who's on a mission so far, Manestra Mena, up into P8, dispatches everyone on the hard compound tyres. Ramazio also has pitted, has pitted for the mediums as he had a little bit of contact. He's 24 seconds back, so unfortunate for him. But Manestra Mena getting up towards the pieces, up into P11 and closing down on the points, which is only 3/10 away from Shanakinchi. This battle up in front between Danny Beresne, Ismail Fassi, Istvan Pukki, Sven Zerner and Yannick Schmidt as well. Getting really, really tasty so far, and this has been some really, really good racing so far.
It's been an interesting beginning of the race. We have all drivers, bar those two involved in incidents, on the DRS range of the car head. So, as I said, that Shanakinchi just dropped out after 1 second. Let's see if he manages to get it back before the DRS detection. Seems like he's able to. Quite in the limits. No, he didn't actually get it, but this might be a bit costly for him, since behind him is a driver on the medium compound and with DRS, so this might get quite costly for the Williams driver.
Absolutely. So as we've just seen.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, we've just missed that. It's Ismail Fassi who has taken the lead of the Miami Grand Prix and has decided to bolt away. Christoph Seller sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix with a 30.328, but Ismail Fassi now leads the Grand Prix. He's been 4 laps stuck behind the Alfa Romeo and now makes his move and trying to bolt away. Into the lead goes Ismail Fassi, and I just wonder if Danny Beresne just wanting to protect his tyres a little bit to try and go a little bit long into this one. Ismail Fassi not wanting to do that a little bit. He wants to try and get out in front. Yellow flags once again. I believe that is Jeremy. He's had a little bit of an incident. He's got back up and running, maybe a little bit of a slide somewhere, but thankfully back up and running. Ismail Fassi currently leading, but for how much longer? Danny Beresne using his DRS into 4/10, 3/10, almost into 2/10, not quite close enough this time around. As you can see there, actually just in the background, Istvan Pukki really closing up to the back of Danny Beresne and just not having enough pace so far to try and get the gap that he desired and that he had in Bahrain, and is currently 5/10 back so far. And Ismail Fassi, Ismail Fassi, as Istvan Pukki maybe having a look on the multiple winning Alfa Romeo car of Danny Beresne. F1 Esports winner, of course, runner-up in 2017 and 2018, I believe, as well. Not quite close enough this time around. Is Istvan Pukki, but a massive lock up there for Danny Berezne, and Istvan Pukki may have a chance to slip through. Not quite, but he definitely is right on the back of the Alfa Romeo. A massive moment there for Danny Berezne, and one we don't often see from the Alfa Romeo man. A little bit of a moment, does manage to keep up to P2, but he might have just lost the DRS to Ismail Fassi, and that could be big in this race. He's really going to have to try and push hard to try and keep that gap up going now.
In the meantime, quite a bit of battling between Modesto Mena and Ken McKinchy, with the AlphaTauri driver eventually getting the better. Still a bit of contact into turn 1, but they both keep the positions. They arrived there. So it's up to the AlphaTauri to now go try to catch the Williams driver ahead of him. He's been recovering and getting quite a few positions thanks to that medium compound tire. Let's see if he doesn't suffer too much at the end of the race with everybody else on the medium compound tires.
Absolutely, it's Miller Mayer having a look down the inside of Chan Akinci. Not going to work this time around. He's going to try and muscle his way round the outside. The door just slams shut in his face, and Chan Akinci does keep the position, and Miller Mayer will have to try another day. Meanwhile, he's trying to catch up to Modestro Mena, who's now made himself up in the points from P17 on the grid. 7 positions made in Miami. That is a job well done there for Modestro Mena, making his way up the field. A 2-second gap, though, is being created from himself and P9, which holds to Jakub Rosetsu so far. Trying to claw his way back up the field as Nani Perez makes his way up into P15. Danny Berezne sending the fast up there, and into the 29s we go. 29.526 for the Alfa Romeo man, trying to break away from Istvan Pukki as best as he can and trying to catch up to Ismail Fassi. Christoph Seller in P8, 3/10, 4/10 back on Lillian in P7. As we can see, those sort of battles starting to flower through in this Grand Prix. 7 laps gone. Still about 22 to go. As we can see there, we'll fly on back towards the battle for the lead. Ismail Fassi versus Danny Berezne versus Istvan Pukki. 6/10 separating the two of them, both on Pukki versus Berezne. Berezne versus Fassi. We'll ride on board with the T-cam for Danny Berezne for a few moments. As we can see him going towards the Mickey Mouse section, flying towards the right-hander, trying to stick with the Mercedes as best as he can. Big braking as you head onto the left and hop on towards the right. Comes Ismail Fassi. What has he got in the tank to try and defend? The multiple winning F1 esports driver in Danny Berezne. Istvan Pukki, 7/10, 6/10 back on Mr. Berezne so far. And Danny Berezne really looking up, maybe he wants to make a move in the not too distant future as he brakes very, very hard into the left-hander. A little bit of a lock-up he had a few laps ago. Definitely corrected this time around. He's making his way. A little bit of a moment you can see there on Ismail Fassi's camera. As you can see there across the line, there's still 6/10 left in it, and just wonder if they're just starting to get into the groove now where they don't really want to fight too hard. They just want to make it until the pit stops, which I'm probably going to assume is going to be in about 20 laps time. So we've still got a long time left to go on this stint of tyres, from the hards probably onto the mediums, maybe onto the softs if people are feeling lucky. But yeah, we're probably going to be to the stage where no one's really going to battle too hard. They're just going to try and stick in within the DRS, trying to stay as close as they can to each other and just try and go until the pit stops. Meanwhile, Danny Berezne, 5/10 of a second, might have to be forced into an overtake now.
Let's see. I don't think he'll try to force it, especially considering that he might want to manage his battery a bit better for the end of the race. In the meantime, I've been watching the fight between Nardi Perez and Drax. It seems like Nardi Perez just flies away on the straights, away from the Williams driver. He's been getting quite close on the cornering, but then on the straights the Mercedes just fly away.
Absolutely. So a lot of straight line speed it seems to be on that Mercedes. So set up that car very, very well as Nardi Perez, as Jeremy gets a time penalty for his track limit troubles somewhere along the grid in P20 so far. Really unlucky start to this Grand Prix. 4/10 away now is Danny Berezne to Ismail Fassi. with Istvan Pukki 6 tenths away, Sven Zerner 7 tenths away from Pukki as well. There's the two Red Bulls trying to close up towards each other as Lillian just Jan Halliday just sandwiched in between the two Red Bulls. Yannick Schmidt in front with Lillian behind. I just wonder if they're starting to talk to each other, maybe starting to try and push just to try and get us together, unless you just want to stay in position. We've got a second gap on Christoph Selle. Doesn't seem to have a bundle of pace today, unfortunately, but just trying to catch up as best he can. Meanwhile, Danny Berezny 2 tenths now back of Ismail Fassi. He's had a great couple of sectors, or a great couple of corners as Danny Berezny now into the 2 tenths range, and definitely in with a chance of making an overtake. Not into the left-hander, maybe down the back straight into the final couple of corners. Into the Mickey Mouse section they go, staying tight towards the wall comes Danny Berezny into 4th gear, braking hard for the left and on towards the right. Beautifully taken from both drivers there. Istvan Pukki trying to join the front. He's 3 tenths back on the both of them. Sven Zerner as well, 5 tenths back. Here comes Danny Berezny though, looking to try and grab something. Can he try and retake the gain of this Grand Prix? He's going into the DRS. Is he close enough to make a move? Is the question. My answer is going to be no. And the answer for Danny Berezny is going to be no. But it's very, very close to the back end of Ismail Fassi, and lucky not to run into the back of him there. Very late on the brakes is Danny Berezny. As Istvan Pukki starting to pick up the pace there. As we can see, tyre performance there, 27% on the fronts, 31% behind on Danny Berezny. And look at that, Istvan Pukki's tyres much, much healthier than the likes of Danny Berezny.
Saying that Danny went late on the brakes is no news, really, is it? But quite a nice fight from our top three. Sven Zerner just keeping quite close, but not trying to attack them for now. The race is still long. And again, the gap, it's still less than 1 second between all of them, down to P9 with Modesto now dropping a bit in the track. I mean, the gap is getting bigger, and I think that the driver might be going for a stop not much longer.
Absolutely, we've got yellow flags in sector 1. Not sure who that was for. They have got back away. That might have been Jeremy in P20. But we can see there Danny Berezny all over the back now of Ismail Fassi. Is he close enough to try and make the move is the question. We've seen him, yeah, absolutely last of the late breakers, likes to definitely pump that braking zone and that braking pedal of his. We've seen all the videos of him. Very, very amusing indeed as his teammate Ben Sabakonyi gets the better of Melamer, and up into P12 he goes. Istvan Pukki also as well having to look alongside of Danny Berezny as well. As you can see there, about 5 tenths separating the top 3 all in this. Is so tight indeed everywhere you look. And with Miami not having a lot of overtaking opportunities, just stuck in that little bit of a train where you can't really do a lot. You can't really go for those moves you kind of want to on like a circuit like, I don't know, Malaysia or China or something like that. You can't really make those moves going into the inside or the outside. As we see Drax having a 3-second time penalty in P16, trying to battle with Nardi Perez. Here comes Danny Berezny though with the DRS right now. Is he close enough this time around to the Mercedes? The answer so far is no, and I think the answer is gonna be no. More yellow flags coming up towards sector 3, and Jeremy is quite close to sector 3, so hopefully they don't trip over themselves too much, otherwise we might have a little bit of a moment going on. Ismail Fassi closing up, Danny Berezny closing up to Ismail Fassi again, and Fassi just can't really get the job done. The yellow flags, and that is Jeremy out of the race. I believe that might have been crashed. Have we seen a safety car so far? Don't think we will see a safety car. We probably would have come out no far, and I don't think we will see a safety car so far. We haven't seen a safety car all season. I think we've got a virtual last time up. We have the first retirement, and that was actually in the pits for Jeremy. And here's the first one out of this session.
We have Milan Meyer and Samuel Bean swapping positions for P13. A bit of too much power on the Haas getting out of that corner, making that Meyer had to correct the steering wheel, but he's good. He's still behind the Aston Martin of the Spaniards, so he's in the Spaniard sandwich at the moment. So, Nardi Perez right behind, well, not right behind him, but on the stands. He's behind. Let's see if he manages to close that gap to the Haas driver.
Absolutely. So, as you can see they're battling all the way you look. As you look onto the Delta Times, you're trying to see yourself of which battles to pick. Thankfully, Joanna looking all the way down the boards as we try and stick ourselves up towards the top of the leaderboards. Ismail Fassi still leading away by 3.5 tenths, 2.5 tenths now on Danny Berezne. Isfan Puki just about 4 tenths back on Berezne. As you can see him pushing the Mercedes all the way through the corners. You can see there the DRS into effect for Danny Berezne in a couple of moments' time. The closest he's been so far down the back straight behind Ismail Fassi has been. And into the DRS range on lap 12 of 29. Still nothing doing for Danny Berezne. Ismail Fassi doing a grand job of keeping him behind and just keeping that gap just a little bit large, or too large for Danny Berezne to try and compete, as we've seen that Christoph Zeller and Lillian having a little bit of battle of their own. And the Red Bulls just losing a little bit of ground. You can see Lillian just losing a little bit of time there as we have the first pit stop, and that is Miss Modestra Mena obviously going to be pitting a little bit earlier on the medium compound tyres, and that is it for the medium compound tyres for Modestra Mena. He is coming into the pit lane and probably will return about 18th, maybe 19th. As we can see there, Christoph Zeller, Lillian and also Jakob Rosetsu having a mighty long battle. It is Christoph Zeller who gets the position though into P7. And Jakob Rosetsu in P9 looking comfortable to try and maybe take the position off the Red Bull. A little bit of a moment there out of the left-hander, but just seems to get away with it. But that is probably the moment gone and try and get into the P8 there. As we can see just further up the field, it is Ismail Fassi still leading the way. 2.5 tenths to Danny Berezne. And this battle, I'm going to probably assume, is going to go all the way to the pit stops.
And after that as well, while we have Milan Meyer diving on the inside of Samuel Bin, but in getting the position, Samuel still looked on the outside to try to keep them side by side, but losing the position onto the end of the second sector. And we will have the straight, let's see, but it seems like the Haas will be able to get away from the Aston Martin.
And Danny Berezne makes his move there, down the inside of Ismail Fassi, and retakes the lead of the Miami Grand Prix. Wasn't going to wait a while for that one to arise, and gets the job done. Even more defensive down the inside, and Ismail Fassi tries it round the outside of the Alfa Romeo. He's going to stick his nose in there just a little bit, so the gap just slows down, and Danny Berezne retakes the lead of the Miami Grand Prix. Ismail Fassi back down into P2, and now Danny Berezne's chance, just trying to save the tyres a little bit, and now can try and bolt away to try and break the DRS, as you can see him doing there. 5 tenths, 6 tenths back on Ismail Fassi, can try and break away and break out of the DRS, and he's got the job done there. Already 8 tenths, and Ismail Fassi's tyres are definitely done for the dust there. You can definitely see 3 tenths of a second back now on Danny Berezne, Ismail Puki on Ismail Fassi. He is in the DRS back again though. Is he close enough to make a move? He's going to look down the inside, goes Ismail Fassi. They've made contact a little bit, which has sent Danny Berezne off the track as Ismail Puki goes trying round the outside into the smallest. The gap's not going to work, and it's so tight there. The battle gaining for about 6 places there. First down to 6 of Danny Berezne and Ismail Fassi make a little bit of contact. They get away with it just about, as Ismail Puki now really close to the back of Ismail Fassi. Fassi's going to try it again down the back straight. Is he going to? DRS is not enabled, and Ismail Fassi has just got to wait a little while longer, pushing Danny Berezne all the way, and it's getting very hotly contested on lap 14 of 29 as we see someone bolting in towards the pit lane, and that is Jan Halic wanting no more in this battle alongside Lillian as well.
All I'm going to say is that Sven Zerner almost jumped to P2 with all that fighting going on.
Absolutely.
They were 2 by 2 into the Mickey Mouse section, as he called it, and quite a huge opportunity for the Ferrari driver to jump a few positions. They stayed, he and Puki stayed the same positions. In the meantime, we had 4 drivers going into the mediums. 3 drivers. The first 3 drivers jumping into the mediums. So my map is completely out. Tonight, so we have Jan Aladev, Dylan Meyer and Drax going for the medium compound. Ramazio, of course, was already in those, and I think we'll have to stop for the harder compound. In the meantime, we had Murai overtaking Yannis Dobson The issue with Diogo is that every time I say his name, I start speaking Portuguese in my mind afterwards. So it's going to be a challenge. In the meantime, I'm sorry I was commenting on an overtake on the rear of the field when you were talking about Dani actually passing Ismail, but I think not even the Mercedes driver was expecting the Hungarian to pass him at this part of the race, since it's still a couple laps until the pit stops, and I was expecting Dani to try it on the last lap before he pitted, just to make sure that he wasn't going to get stuck behind the Ferrari, the Mercedes in the pit lane and lose, because that costs a bit of time. In the meantime, 4 more drivers pitting: Sven Zoner, Yannick Schmidt, Jakub Roses, and BenQ Zabocconi, all going for the medium compound. Let's see where these drivers haven't stopped yet will come out once they actually decide to stop, and if the top 3 will decide to stop all on the same lap.
Absolutely, more yellow flags, and that is Sven Zerner. Sven Zerner going slowly. Is that him in the wall as well? Has he got front wing damage? No, he hasn't. A big moment out of the pit stop for Sven Zerner, and that might be his chance of trying to get some good points or good podiums out of the window. That is a big moment, going very, very slowly. Not sure what has happened to the Ferrari. Maybe an issue somewhere, maybe on him. But as his teammate Stefano Ramazio tries to get in front of him, definitely does. That might be a problem on his hardware for Sven Zerner, who's had such a good race up to that point. And I think he has resolved the issue now, but so unfortunate. He's looking so good as this top 3 of Beresne, Fassi and Pukki have all come into the pit lane, and now they come back into the pits. Here comes Dani Beresne leading the way. Istvan Pukki decides to stay out, so Fassi and Beresne come in towards the pit lane. Fassi will be serviced first. How's his pit lane like? He comes into the pit lane onto the medium compound tyres. It's a little bit of a hold up for the Alpine. Not too bad at all. Dani Beresne comes in as well. Service in and out, nothing else. And there we go then. He stays in front of Ismail Fassi with a gap getting a little bit smaller than it was a couple of laps ago. We ride on board. Round the outside they go. Will he get in front? Does Dani Beresne get the gap? A big moment there as Fassi goes into the side of Morais there, and is not expecting him to go there. Has that absolutely hurt him, as Morais might have done. Sent him off course there. Ismail Fassi gets bumped out of the way. Sven Zerner retires from the session. I'm not sure what has happened to him there. That might have been in the pit lane. All happening there. There might be issues on his hardware. So unfortunate for him. But a big moment there as Fassi trying to battle out the way. That might be the chance of him in a win. Might be out the window. 2-1 corners, 1 car behind Dani Beresne now. He's got Jan Halliday just behind him. More yellow flags all happening on this out of the pit lane, as we see Istvan Pukki. Does he want to come and get serviced in first, as we see? And Aston Martin 1-2 now, and it's getting a little bit tasty now, as we can see. 17 seconds is the gap between Pukki and Dani Beresne, as Pukki comes in right about now.
Letting the cars by, not sure what happened. After that contact, just decided to let them by. Quite a few position swaps. Jan Halliday dropping behind Yannick Schmidt. We'll have Nardi Perez and Istvan Pukki finally pitting for the medium compound. Samovin still out. Maybe trying to help his teammates by slowing down the rest of the field. But it's still 5 seconds between him and Beresne, so quite tricky to see what will happen.
Ooh, Marias might have just had a crash. And there's that in the pit lane. Yes, it is. My apologies there. So Diogo Morais having more issues, unfortunately, and retiring from the session. So unfortunate, was looking good. I'll tell you what, Yannick Schmitz, who's looking good as well, down the inside of Istvan Pukki on cold tyres, gets the job done, and up in towards the lead once again. Into P4 goes Yannick Schmidt, has made the pit stop, so this is all 4 positions so far, and Dani Beresne is the biggest winner out of these pit stops. Got a 9/10 gap on Ismail Fassi, who's really got to get the power down if he wants to have any chance of winning this Grand Prix. Samuel Bean is still out there and currently leading the way on 17 lap old Haas's, as you said, maybe trying to help Istvan Pukki as best as he can, maybe trying to back up the pack if Dani Beresne comes knocking. He's only 4 seconds down the road is Danny Berezne. His Drux gets a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. That's a big track limit penalty for Mr. Drux. Not sure what had happened to him, but a big one for him. As we go towards the line, there goes Samuel Bean into the pit lane. So Danny Berezne takes the lead of the Miami Grand Prix. Gets the fastest notice this month. Fassi, who's fast lap of the Grand Prix, into 28.989 for the Mercedes. 1 second back now on Danny Berezne. And it's crucial that Ismail Fassi just tries to drive his heart out of that Mercedes for these next couple of laps to try and get himself back into the DRS, because Yannick Schmidt is knocking on that P2 and knocking for the front row finish. As we can see, Danny Berezne just getting into the distance. 1.5 seconds is the gap between Ismail Fassi, and this is going to get very, very tasty for these next final 10 laps.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit crazy, this final laps, isn't it, Joshua?
Yeah, definitely so.
Ramazio going for this compound.
Very interesting for Ramazio, but can probably get it done in these next 10 laps. Probably going to try and go for the fastest lap. He's got nothing to lose. He's in last place so far. And this one, Fassi, as we just saw there, very, very close to the inside wall there. Lucky he didn't hit it at all, but he's losing a lot of pace out there on those medium compound tyres. His hard stint was just so good. His mediums just starting to slow back ever so slightly. Istvan Pukki closing up on Yannick Schmidt as well. But yes, Stefano Ramazio on the soft compound tyres. This one, Fassi having a big moment, big slide out of the final corner. I just wonder if he might have a look to try and let Yannick Schmidt go, to try and follow him through. He's closing in. Is Schmidt, is he close enough to try and make a move? No, he's not. He's not going to make that move just yet. But Fassi really struggling on these medium compound tyres. And this is definitely not as good as his hard stint was. But Danny Berezne coming alive on these medium compound tyres as he was on the hards. Istvan Pukki really closing up on Schmidt as well, alongside Jan Haladesh. And something has happened just behind.
Yeah, a bit of a moment for Istvan Pukki on the curb, losing a bit of control of his Aston Martin and dropping a bit behind. Let's see, but I don't think Jan Haladesh is close enough to get advantage of that. So, same positions for now, just particularly have P3 and P4. In the meantime, we had Jakub and Chen swapping positions for P8. Let's see, and Chen already dropping back quite a bit. So let's see if there's going to be more change of positions. In the meantime, just getting the 3-second time penalty. This might cost him a bit at the end, quite a few positions.
Absolutely so. Ismail Fassi really struggling on these medium compound tyres. You can see him just sliding out of almost every corner. It's Yannick Schmidt trying to close up to the Mercedes, and Istvan Pukki not so far down the road, 2.5 tenths back on the Red Bull. And the Red Bull not quite close enough to try and make the move on the Mercedes. Yannick Schmidt closing up, but not closing up just enough. Jan Haladesh 5 tenths down the road, not close enough either to try and challenge with the Aston Martin of Istvan Pukki. He is close enough, and not close enough. Lillian, as we just saw, getting a 3-second time penalty on the road for track limits. As Ismail Fassi closing up slowly to Danny Berezne, but not enough, as he would have liked. 2.8, 2.9, almost 3 seconds now back on the Hungarian. And Danny Berezne might have just got this win back in his grasp, as Istvan Pukki closing up to the back of Yannick Schmidt. DRS wide open for the both drivers. As he close up towards Ismail Fassi, they want to have a look on either of them. Not quite close enough, as Stefano Ramazio sets the fast up of the Grand Prix on the soft compound tyres, as we would have thought, as Jan Dolfsson also pitting for the softs as well. And Danny Berezne 3 seconds clear of Ismail Fassi now, as Yannick Schmidt having to correct the wheel, and that has cost him a lot of time. It's cost him about 4 tenths of a second, and that's why you've got to get your cornering absolutely perfect in these sort of races, and it will cost you and bite you very hard. Ismail Fassi defending quite hard on the Red Bull. He's not quite close enough to make a move. Istvan Pukki setting up for a move, but pulling out to the right hand side just in time, and not quite close enough to get the job done. A lot of power and a lot of DRS left on that Aston Martin. Still similar to the Red Bull, but not so much on that Mercedes. About 20% left of ERS, left on the Mercedes. You can see there Danny Berezne down to 10%, so he's really been pushing to try and get that gap away. He's been rewarded with a 3-second gap, which is nice for him. 3 seconds clear of Ismail Fassi so far, as we see more further action down the back of the field. Jekko Vizetsu 4 tenths back on Christoph Seller, with Lilio closer to Jan Halliday. Jan Halliday close to Pookie. Pookie, we're riding on board with close to Yannick Schmidt. And Yannick Schmidt close to Ismail Fassi. And this could get a little bit tasty coming in towards the back straight as Pookie pushing that Red Bull all the way through. Yannick Schmidt's having a look on Ismail Fassi around the outside. Does Pookie want to follow him through just like karting? He's going to have a look down the inside of the Red Bull though. Changes position all the way through. Pookie around the outside, which turns to the inside, which turns to the outside once again, turns into the inside. And Ismail Pookie is through. Is through up into P3, gets the job done. Didn't have to look didn't have to wait a while. And Ismail Pookie up into P3 now can try and challenge with Ismail Fassi in P2 with Estro Mena with a 3-second time penalty. And Pookie looking on Ismail Fassi, and Ismail Fassi looking on Danny Berezne, which is 4 seconds behind as Christoph Seller, just behind in our picture, moves up into P6.
Quite a very smart move from Ismail Pookie. He was seeing Yannick Schmidt trying to put it side by side with Ismail Fassi, believing that the Mercedes would brake later, and just deciding on the same line of race than Ismail had chose, and that was the way he managed to actually jump Yannick Schmidt 1 position. He's now P3. Let's see. I believe he will be trying to just stay behind the Mercedes driver for a bit and then attacking on the final lap. Or if he feels he's being really held on, then try to move the Mercedes and try to run away. But it's not easy to just open 1 second when you have so many straights on this track, 3 DRS zones, and of course even then the tow as well helping you out. It's really difficult to open up 1 second at this level.
Absolutely, so it's really, really difficult just to try and just break away as best as you can. Danny Berezne has done that, but once you're in the train, it's really, really hard to get out of it. As you said, at this level, it is so tight. Ismail Pookie 4 tenths back on Ismail Fassi, just doesn't have the straight line speed that the Mercedes have had so far. Been really, really good all the way through. We saw Nadi Perez have some really, really good straight line speed as well, and it seems to be the case with Ismail Fassi as well. The Mercedes have been really, really good. Ismail Fassi has been really, really good, trying to keep Danny Berezne back as best as he can. And once the pit lane came, he just got into a little bit of an awkward part of the racing track and got lost out of it, and now has suffered from being 4 seconds back on Danny Berezne, who is looking to try and get his second win of 2. There's a yellow flag in sector 2 somewhere happened now. And Yoni Dobson having a little bit of a moment, has recovered, thankfully, in the McLaren, just not having a great day at all. We've lost 3 drivers so far. We've lost Jeremy Svenzerna and Diego Moraes. Yes, we can see
side by side with Ismail Fassi. Let's see if he manages to pull the move, but I think the Mercedes driver will just wait for the back straight to get the position back. Let's see if he manages to keep together with the Aston Martin. So far, it's P2 for Ismail Pookie. Let's see if Ismail Fassi manages to get that position or not. In the meantime, we had Yerney retiring in the pit lane as well. Unfortunately, it's the end of the race for that McLaren in particular. I think that Ismail Pookie had a better exit, and then again, the same feeling that I had in the beginning of the race. It seems that the Aston Martin just pulls away, at least in the beginning. Then, of course, with the DRS, it's a bit trickier to defend. Oh, seems like a bit of a double move, in my opinion, from the Aston Martin. But he manages to get the position. There was still enough space for Ismail Fassi, and let's see if Ismail can keep close to Ismail Pookie, because otherwise Yannick Schmidt is ready to pull the trigger and try to get that P3.
Absolutely so. Ismail Pookie takes P2 away from Ismail Fassi, who's waited 25 laps to do that, and thankfully he's got the job done now. But what Fassi just needs to do now, just try and stick with Pukki for as long as possible, because you can already see Istvan Pukki has put a hole into Danny Berezny's gap so far. It's got about 3-4 tenths of a second, a little bit quicker than Berezny so far, so you can just try and use his gap to just try and close up. You can see him about 6 tenths of a second quicker than Fassi so far. He's going to try and come back as the Mercedes, just a rocket ship on the straight, comes back. Istvan Pukki going to hold it down the inside, Fassi around the outside. They bump wheels front and rear, just so close, but Pukki follows through, but they just can't afford to just battle at this time. 3.8 seconds away is the leader, is the win in their sights. Fassi, an absolute rocket ship on the straights. Pukki, very good out of the exits of the corners. But it's just that balance that you just don't really need. Just Fassi, just so quick on the straights. And once again, having a look, Pukki has to defend that. Round the outside goes Fassi, just not close enough. Is he going to try it around the outside? No, he's not. And it's just that sort of awkwardness where he's just a little bit too quick to stay behind, but he's just not quite quick enough to just stick with Danny Berezny. You can see the tyre performance there. Round the outside goes Fassi, once again battling very hard, but Pukki positioning his car very well. You can see just about equal on the tyre performance between Ismail Fassi and Yannick Schmidt. 33% on the front, 36% on the rear. You can see how much has been slipping and sliding on Ismail Fassi's medium compounder tyres, but Pukki just trying to catch up to Berezny as best as he can. 3.7 seconds. It's going to be a tough order for these final 3 laps, but it's going to be close. There goes Pukki. Oh my goodness me, we've just seen that, and Pukki has spun it from P2. I do not believe it. Istvan Pukki just losing it on the curb, we've just seen, and oh no. Pukki was having such a great race so far. Into P2, was challenging for the lead at pretty much all day, and Istvan Pukki... Oh, and Jan has gone as well, and that is into the wall. Both of them have been absolutely shafted in this race, been sent the wall, and that is so unfortunate. 2 drivers who have been in the hunt for the win in the podium all the way through and has lost it on the final couple of laps. 3 laps to go, and Jan Halliday and Istvan Pukki all out, still in the points. But that is so unfortunate. And Danny Berezny now 4 seconds clear of Ismail Fassi. But that puts Yannick Schmidt on the podium for the first time today and the first time this season. The Red Bulls looking mightily hot so far. And Yekin Rosetsu looking for P4 as well. As Yannick Schmidt currently in P3 and right now holding on to a podium. It might be P2 in a couple of laps' time.
Well, we have Istvan Pukki and Jan Halliday fighting it off. Just a note that Jan was side by side with Christoph Zell when he spun. Not sure if there was contact or if it was just him trying to defend the position that cost him that spin. In the meantime, it seems like Istvan Pukki passed the McLaren driver, but then again a worst line, so it seems that the fight is not over yet. We have Jan getting back into the front, but Istvan will have the DRS down this straight, and I think will easily have the position from the McLaren.
Further up the field, Yannick Schmidt, there's no time to get in front, and Yannick Schmidt up into P2, dispatches of Ismail Fassi and Yannick Schmidt, who's had the great race so far, kept it clean, kept it nice, and has so far been rewarded with that P2 for staying it clean and making his moves very nicely. He's up into P2, and for the first time, Red Bull could be looking at a podium in their sights. He's going to try and defend as hard as he can. He's got 2 laps to try and defend for all his might from Ismail Fassi, who gets past him once again into P2. He's going to have another DRS zone to try and look forward to, but he should probably, if I was Yannick Schmidt, stay behind until the last lap on that moment to try and get past him at that last moment. And Yannick Schmidt is looking at a P2. He's still on the podium and is probably looking at the podium very nicely, but this is going to go right to the wire for that final position on the podium. Will it be Fassi or will it be Schmidt? We're going to have a look as Stefano Ramazio retires from the session. Yellow flags in Sector 2 and Sector 3. That might be a crash, not quite sure. We've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers so far. Double retirement for Ferrari. So unlucky. We are too late for a safety car right now. We see Yannick Schmidt in the slipstream and in the DRS right now of Ismail Fassi. Is he close enough to try and make the move in the Mercedes? Samuel Bean with a 3-second time penalty on that Aston Martin. Schmidt round the outside. Is he close enough? He sort of goes for it. Not quite close enough. Here comes Sella trying to join the fun down the inside. Not close enough once again. And still behind in P4. Yannick Schmidt doing so well to stay in this P3 battle as he tries once again as we move over to the final lap in these next few corners. Danny Beresne has walked away with it on this medium stint. Been absolutely fantastic. Jan Halliday with a 3-second penalty as well. Here comes Yannick Schmidt down the inside on the Mercedes, side by side. Ismail Fassi versus Yannick Schmidt. Down the inside goes the Red Bull as Ismail Fassi's been hit by Christoph Seller. There's damage everywhere as Ismail Fassi has been lost out on the final couple of laps. He's been lost out on the podium. Yannick Schmidt now sits in P3 with Lillian's penalty. Red Bull looking at a 2-3 so far as Ismail Fassi has been hit up the rear by Christoph Seller. Seller is damaged, and on the last lap of the Grand Prix, it is getting so tight as Yannick Schmidt is definitely going to cruise home to a P2. Danny Beresne is going to cruise home to a win. Lillian currently in P3, but with the penalty, it will go to Jakob Rosetsu. Ismail Fassi is just 7 tenths away from the podium, but oh my goodness me, absolute drama on the last lap of the Miami Grand Prix. We're going to ride our boards with Danny Beresne for as much as we can. It's been an absolutely great Grand Prix so far. Got pole position once again, had a big tussle with Ismail Fassi. Was so close on the first stint on the hards, but on the mediums he's shown his true pace. The Danny Beresne we've known and loved for a long time, and Danny Beresne has been absolutely faultless once again, and he's going to come home round in the final corner. Milan Meyer and Jan Halliday battling away for the last points on the for the last couple of points, but we see Danny Beresne now. He's done the business once again. He won in Bahrain. He's going to win in Miami once again. It's 2 for 2 for Danny Beresne. He comes across the line now. Danny Beresne wins the Miami Grand Prix, and for the first time, it's going to be Yannick Schmidt who finishes in P2. Ismail Fassi just catches Jakob Rosetsu right at the end. He does just snatch that P3, gets the podium in the end. Jakob Rosetsu doing so well, finishes P4. Lillian is 5th by 76 thousandths of a second to Jana Kinchi, and even more battling going on right on the line as Nadi Perez and Milan Meyer having a little bit of an incident that got so tight near the end. Ben Sabakonyi finishes 7th from P11, Seller in 8th, Pookie in 9th, Manestra Mena from starting 17th finishes on with a point in P10, and Nadi Perez, Milan Meyer, Samuel Bean, Jan Halliday and Drax failing to score from 11th down into 15th. With Danny Beresne class of the rest once again and wins the Miami Grand Prix by 5.5 seconds, I believe it was, right at the end. Samuel Bean, driver of the day. Wowee, what an end to that last lap of the Miami Grand Prix, Joanna.
Yes, what an end. Quite a few incidents at the end of the race in this last lap, but thankfully no DNFs at any of the last minute. Istvan Pukki manages to grab that P9, which was the position he was fighting off for after that spin. And well done for Yannick Schmidt, obviously for Danny Beresne who wins the race, but for Danny Schmidt from P4 to P2, being able to avoid all the drama ahead of him, and Ismail Fassi still managing to grab that P3 despite everything that happened in this race.
Absolutely so. What a race we've just witnessed. But it's once again Danny Beresne going to him by 4.8 seconds there, getting the job done. Yannick Schmidt picks up his first podium and Red Bull's first podium of the season. Had a great Grand Prix, qualified 4th and finishes on 2nd place. Ismail Fassi in P3 there. Jakob Rosetsu is 4th with Lillian 5th, Jan Kinchi 6th, with Ben Sabakonyi 7th, with Christoph Seller in 8th, Istvan Pukki is 9th, Malestra Mena in P10. Nadi Perez is 11th. Milan in 12th. Samuel Bean 13th. Jan Hallidish in 14th. And Drux in 15th. And we've lost Stefano Ramazio, Yoni Dobson, Diego Moraes, Sven Zerner, and Jeremy from that race. And Stefano Ramazio getting the fastest lap as well with a 28.3. But oh my goodness me, what an end to that race we have. Hopefully we can get some driver interviews as best as we can. Hopefully,
Yes.
If anyone would like to come in, they are more than welcome to the top three there. But Joanna, that was something of an absolute masterclass all the way through, and one of the most exciting Miami Grand Prix you'll probably ever see.
Yes, I think we'll have an opportunity to speak with our race winner and our P3 at least, with Ismael Fassi also coming into the commentary booth. And we have Danny already. Maybe we can start with him.
Yep, Danny Beresnay joins us in the commentary box today. Danny, it's 2 for 2 for you. Gets another win at Miami. How was that for you?
It was a pretty hard race because I used 21-14 wings and Isma used 0-0, so he had around 15 kilometer per hour. I knew that the only chance for me to win this race is to enter the pit first, have a good pit stop, and on the cold tires, maybe even with traffic, because I have higher wings, I have more grip, I can warm them in a little bit faster. So I knew that that's the point where I need to break the DRS. And I heard that as he came out of the pit, he also got probably front wing damage, but all in all, I think my setup was a little bit faster in terms of pace. It was just very bad in the straight, so as soon as he was out of DRS, I knew that I have control, but it was really tricky because for me the ERS recharged like 3-5% a lap, and he can gain probably around 10% a lap or 15% a lap ERS as well, so he can push a lot more. And then obviously in the corners it's really hard to overtake. So when I started the race and saw his setup, and I mean even in qualifying I saw his setup 0.7 last sector, 3 times faster than mine. I considered myself to have around a 10% chance to win this one. But yeah, the luck was in my favor, and when I didn't need to make a mistake, I didn't. So that was very crucial.
Absolutely. So probably your first intense battle with Ismail there. Was he very, very good trying to battle with him? Was he definitely one of the toughest ones you've come up against in league racing?
Yeah, I mean, once we had a contact because I didn't think that he is alongside in the hairpin lap 14, and I just closed the door on him. But anyway, it didn't really matter. But yeah, the battle, it was weird because we were fasting completely parts of the track. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the last 8 races to battle with him because he seems to be very, very fast.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously next week at the Chinese Grand Prix coming to you next week. Looking forward to that one again. Hopefully try and go for that hat-trick of wins.
Yeah, I really like that circuit, but I haven't really played on it in this game. So we'll definitely need to put in some practice time there.
Absolutely. So, well, big congratulations once again. You are the victor once again, Danny, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much, and have a nice rest of the day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. That was Danny Beresnay. We are joined also by P3 podium sitter once again, Ismail Fassi. Hopefully he can join us as well. Ismail, hello.
Just let me ask Ismail if he wants to do the interview in English or Spanish.
Yeah, absolutely. So take it away, John.
You can do it in English if you want. I don't care.
Okay. If you're comfortable, it's easier so everyone can understand you. I don't have to translate it. Good evening, Ismail. P3 at the end, but quite a few ups and downs during the race. Tell us all about it from your perspective.
Well, my quali lap quite decent. I made a mistake in the slow corners, finishing the second sector. I probably lost pole in those corners. Then, well, in the race I had a lot more straight line speed than Danny. So at the beginning I wanted to pass him just to wait until the DRS was enabled. If then he passes me, he wasn't gonna pull out from the race. I he passed me by the end of the first stint. I wanted to stay behind him to see when he pits. We pitted in the same lap, but in the pit exit, I has just made the corner like no one was there. I got wing damage there, and I couldn't do anything to catch him. I stayed behind these people or in front. I had very a lot more straight line speed, so I could stay in front of them. And then in the last lap, I got tapped from on the rear from Christoph, so I lost two more positions. One because the second Red Bull had a penalty, but yeah, I'm happy that at least I go to P3. So looking forward to next race and GG's to Danny and Yannick.
Very well. You mentioned next race, China. Is it a track that you appreciate, or it will be a harder track for you to repeat this kind of result?
I don't know because I haven't practiced yet in China this game. I hope I have good pace too there, and for the rest of the season to have a great battle with Danny again.
Okay. Joshua, anything you'd like to add?
Isfan, that was another good performance from you as well. Another podium.
Ismail.
Yeah, Ismail. Sorry, it's Ismail. Yeah, another good podium from you. 2 for 2 once again. Do you think that top step will come soon?
Yeah, why not? I hope so.
Absolutely. Well,
I think I could have won the race, but yeah, after what happened exiting the pits, just couldn't do anything.
yeah, absolutely. It was very, very tough. And your hard stint seemed to be absolutely flawless. Was really keeping up with Danny and almost trying to gap him as well. Do you think if maybe a little bit longer, if you went medium to hard, and if the pit stops didn't really work the way it would, do you think you probably could have got the victory again today?
Well, after that accident with the Haas, I got DRS again, but I lost it again at the end of the second sector because my car, even though with low wings, then without half of the front wing, I couldn't turn the car, so I lost like half a second in that section and lost DRS again. So I think if he gapped me, then I was gonna be able to catch him again just because of the straight line speed.
Yeah, absolutely. So well, it was a great Grand Prix from you once again. You got another podium out of that one. Massive congratulations to you. Hopefully, another good result for you from China. Sorry. Yeah, good luck for the rest of the season and good congratulations for you today.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. That was Ismail Fassi. We also joined by Shan Akinci tonight. Shan, a little bit of an interesting one from you tonight. A little bit of awkward qualifying from you getting knocked out in Q2, but you did manage to pull it out of the bag for the race. Just talk us through how that was for you.
My setup was not perfect because I used TP setup, and also the track combination was not good for me either because I didn't drive it since the social race for another leagues. It was, I guess it was before patch. It was the first patch of the game, so it was not a good track combination for me, and I was busy this week and couldn't practice for it either, and it was actually awful performance for me in my book. If I could delete this race, I would be happy. But like it is what it is. I climbed good in my opinion because it was really hard to overtake in this track, but I knew it was gonna be chaotic because it was so tight. The track was so tight, so collisions were inevitable. And yeah, I managed to race good. I gapped bands with early pits. So yeah, not a bad performance from back.
Absolutely. So obviously getting that P6 was a P2 last time out at Bahrain. Obviously China next. Do you think you can try and bounce back with that one? I think it's probably one of your good ones so far. Obviously the challenges went really well for you last time out. So hopefully you can try and get back for China, do you think?
I mean, I don't have good memories with it, but I played that track this year for some qualifications. So I think if I can find the right setup, which I can't find because like my knowledge about setups is literally zero. But if I can do something, like maybe I can do it. But I'm probably gonna perform after China and Canada. Not my favorite tracks actually. Easy to break wings. But yeah, I hope I can bounce back to fights for the top.
Absolutely. So Joanna, any questions for Chan before we head off?
Good evening, Chem. So P2 last week, P6. As you mentioned, you'd like to erase it. It's unfortunately it's not possible, but for sure, next week you'll have another chance. Hopefully, a better week. But yeah, not really. Unless you want to thank anyone or leave a word, feel free.
I
Yep.
mean, yeah, I mean, I hope I can just find my pace. And as I said, I want to bounce back for the top. The Bahrain was really unlucky too, because of the fight in the start. I mean, I got a poor start, but still, I lost the DRS in the lap 1, and we all know Danny's pace. He's a esports driver, so it's not surprising. He opened the gap. I couldn't do more actually in Bahrain. But as I said, I want to bounce back. I want to find my pace again because I'm not happy about my current pace. So I hope I can just do better.
Okay, thanks for your words. Hopefully we get to speak with you next week again.
Yes, thank you very much to both of our, three of our drivers who came out with us, Chana Ginchi, Isfal Fassi and Danny Beresne. Thank you all very, very much for tuning in. As well as we can see that we go back up to the calendar very, very quickly. We are at the Chinese Grand Prix next week on the 27th of November. Just before a few Christmas breaks after Canada. Then we move over to Azerbaijan on the 4th of December, to Belgium on the 11th, Canada just before our little bit of a Christmas break. And then we head over to the British Grand Prix in the new year of 2023, to the Italian Grand Prix, Australia in the penultimate rounds, and the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix sets up the finale. Another great week of racing, another great results for a lot of our drivers as well. Danny Beresne picking up pole position and the race win once again, and hopefully can try and go for that hat-trick of wins once again. Ismail Fassi was close, but not quite close enough. Thank you all very, very much for watching. Tune us once again next week for the Chinese Grand Prix. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and we will see you all later and on next week at the Chinese Grand Prix. Thank you very much, and good night.
Stop.
Yes.
Easy going right there. One more to go.